Welcome to the Tony Gaskin Show, best-selling author, celebrity life coach, and international speaker. The purpose of this show is to bring you motivation, inspiration, and education in the areas of life, love, and business. Thank you for joining me. Now let's get started. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Talks with Tony. Got an email today, and it says, my ex and I had been dating for 6 months. Everything was fine until he thought he wasn't healthy mentally and was complaining of not being able to sleep due to his job, and he was depressed. We took a break. On this break, his ex texts me telling me he wants to get back together with her. I confronted him and he confirmed it. They dated for 4 years. It was pretty toxic, constant fighting, jealousy, even physical abuse. She lives in Texas while we are in Illinois. He always told me we were different, not toxic. He was happy. Before we even dated, I asked him was he ready to move on, and he assured me he was. Why would he go back to that? Why did he lie? He told me he loved me. We are 23 years old in grad school. Great question, deep question, and this is a perfect example of a soul tie. A perfect example of a soul tie. And you hear me talk about this, but this is for everybody. You are young at 23 years old. That's one of the reasons why he's going back and forth is he's so young, he doesn't even know what love is. You really can't trust a man in a relationship until he's 25. Any man under 25 years old, it just cannot be trusted in a relationship. You just cannot trust his mind, his stability. It'll be 1 out of 1,000 men, 1 out of 10,000 men that will be completely 100% reliable. I would say 1 out of 10,000 men that would be completely 100% reliable in a relationship under the age of 25. So I want you to think about that. Remember that. Keep that in mind. So that's the first thing. The other thing is it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with that soul tie. When we lie down with someone, or even without sex, if you are just completely connected, a joint at the hips with someone, that soul tie, especially when sex is involved, becomes very strong. And see, the thing what happens is it's just your brain your brain in love, and not really in love, I'm just using that loosely, but your brain in a relationship and you're calling it love. So you're calling this love, and the more stimulus your brain gets, the more addicted you become to it. So it's just like, if you just drink water, that's not really, a huge stimulus. I mean, it keeps everything flowing, it feels good, but now when you drink that alcohol, now that alcohol is going to do something different. Now, if you have alcohol and you have cocaine or you have marijuana, this is what a lot of people on drugs will go through, and they'll hit them a cigarette when they're in public and can't smoke the weed. They smoke cigarettes, and so it's constantly just begging their brain to just dump chemicals into their body, into their bloodstream. And that's what happens in a toxic relationship. So you're calling this love. That's releasing chemicals as it is. Then you have yelling, screaming, name calling, cursing. Then you get physical. All of this physical abuse, all of this is creating reactions in the brain. It's releasing chemicals into your bloodstream. And you're having highs, you're having lows. You fight and then you make up. You fight and then you make up. You fight and then you make up. So it's like cutting yourself and then finding the most amazing soothing ointment to put on that cut. And it's like the cut is like, ah, and then the ointment is like, ooh. So now this high and low, this up and down, this tug of war, this pull, it just becomes this euphoric battle between good and bad, good and evil, and it's addicting. And so when you leave that, now it's like going sober. So you leave that situation and now you go sober, and sober life to a drug addict may be very boring. So he's with you and he's like, I like it. It's not toxic. But then the soul tie is pulling on him so greatly, he becomes mentally depressed. So now he's depressed, he can't sleep, and he needs a break from you. It's because that soul tie he has is so strong. Hey, guess what? I would like to connect with you in a more personal way. Have you ever thought about having a life coach? Have you ever felt like you needed to be around like-minded people? Are you trying to grow and learn more and push yourself to the next level? If that is you, then my new group is for you. Now in this group, I have over 10 courses online that you can go through at your own pace. You can log out and log in as many times as you like. Inside of the system, you can also send me personal messages that I will personally respond to. We also have monthly power calls. Depending on your level of membership, you have access to the live call where I will share an on-time message and open the line for Q&A. In those same membership levels, you have access to the private Facebook group where you can connect and build with like-minded people to support one another. You also receive 1 to 2 free tickets to the annual conference. So look, I created this for you to remove all excuses. You have no excuse now to remain the same. So visit GaskinsUniversity.com, GaskinsUniversity.com, and join the group. I look forward to working with you, and we will see you at the top. And I went through this. When I met my wife, and I was 21. So I was close in age. My wife tells me today that I would be curled up in the bed with a stomach ache crying. I'm like, girl, if you don't get out of here with that nonsense, do you know who you talking to? What do you mean crying over a female? She was like, yeah, you would be curled up with a stomach ache crying, talking about how you miss her or how or just how hard it is to get over the relationship and move on. I'm like, girl, you delusional. There's no way. But guess that was the soul tie. It literally feels like withdrawals from and my relationship before my wife was the exact same that you described. Screaming, yelling, cussing, fussing, physical. It was toxic. You know why? Because we were so young. You don't know nothing about love, and you're trying to be in a relationship and don't know how to relate. You're trying to be in a relationship, and do not know how to relate. And that's what happens. And so they dated 4 years. So that means they were kids. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. And now he's been with you 6 months. And so that young, he got addicted. He's not in love, he's addicted. Let him listen to this, because a relationship is not toxic. You should want no parts of a toxic relationship. You should be trying to put on your track shoes and get as far away from that relationship as possible. So what you are feeling is addiction, not love. It's addiction. Because love is not pain. Love has no abuse. Love has no abuse, no physical abuse, no verbal abuse, no emotional abuse. That is not love. When you have those things, you're acting out from a place of self-hate or from a place of hate. And in that moment, you have no love. If that happens more than the opposite happens, that means you're in a toxic relationship that has more hate than love. That's not a loving relationship and you shouldn't be in it. And you can't make the good times way more than the bad times because those things, although that may happen, you know, every now and then, it literally should not be every month. It shouldn't even be every month. You may have one knockdown, drag out, argument once a year when you are in love. And just your flesh gets the best of you. You get weak. You weak minded. It's a tough time, and you all have an argument that has some emotion, some verbal abuse, but not physical. Physical should never be. Verbal abuse really should never be either. Emotional abuse, that may be silent treatment. That can even be a silent treatment. Just ignoring someone for a week straight and just they're losing their mind. That can be emotional abuse. So stuff like that happens in loving relationships, but it's not constant. It doesn't happen over and over and over and over. It just does not happen. Like my wife and I have not had an argument like that in over 9 years and going on 11 years of marriage. And that's because it's full of love. We'll have a disagreement, but we don't even let it become an argument where it's yelling or we've never cursed. And that's because that's my rule. I don't curse. And so because I don't curse, if I'm not going to curse at somebody, I'm definitely not going to have somebody cursing at me. So we don't curse and we don't yell. Neither one of us really yell. My wife can yell better than me. I've heard her yell at my sons and yell at soccer games, but I don't yell. I don't raise my voice. I get a firm tone if I'm serious about something. And so I set the standard, and that's as far as it goes. So I want you to believe it is possible. It is possible to have a relationship without verbal abuse, without yelling, screaming, cussing, without emotional abuse, and without physical abuse, and to be completely 100% in love and to be at peace, to be best friends and to be best lovers. That is possible because I am living it. So I'm here to tell you it's possible. And my wife and I are complete opposites. I would do nothing the way she does it. She would do nothing the way I do it. But yet love joins us. Love bridges the gap. Love makes the difference. That is what love does. That is why God can love every single human being. And that is why every single human being, no matter who you are, where you're from, how tall, short, beautiful, ugly, foreign, color, creed, whatever you are, God can love you and you can love God because love is the language. So understand that no part of love should be toxic and abusive. And that when you want to go back to something like that, that's an addiction, not love. So, hey, let him listen to it. Send it to him. This on YouTube. I don't know where you hear it at, but it's on YouTube. And send him the link. Tell him, please listen to this. I wrote in a question because I was at my wit's end and got an answer from life coach Tony Gaskins. And he told me to ask you to listen to it. Young man, wake up. Smell the coffee, Folgers, in the morning. You're addicted. You're not in love. You're addicted. And you're ruining your life and you're going to ruin that young lady life that you're going back to. Let her go. Let her go. Let her move on with her life and you move on with your life. You got to heal. It's just a season, but you got to heal and then you can find real love, whether it's with this young lady who wrote in or somebody else. You need to heal. You need to grow. You need to learn what it is to be a man and what it is to be in a relationship. And then you will have perfect love. People don't like that term, but you can have perfect love, meaning that there's no abuse. There's no abuse. There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be, what you may call an argument, but there won't be any abuse. There won't be any pain. Even in those tough times, you'll still be full of love. You'll feel safe and secure and satisfied. Hey, this is Tony Gaskins. Thank you so much for writing in. Hey, I love when I get these short questions. So when you write in to inbox@TonyGaskins.com, inbox@TonyGaskins.com, try to shorten your question as much as possible. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Hey, don't forget to join us on GaskinsUniversity.com. GaskinsUniversity.com. If you need some extra courses, an extra push, a powerful team pushing you to the next level of success, visit GaskinsUniversity.com today.